Everyone thought the miracle was about the walking. The crowd expected a healer to fix a broken body, but God chose to confront a broken soul first, and 4 friends had to destroy a roof to prove it. This is the story of the audacity of faith. 4 men carry a body. The weight digs into their shoulders, the rhythm of their steps uneven on the packed earth. This man cannot save himself. His limbs do not answer. His breath is shallow, caught in the dust-thick air of Capernaum. You know this kind of helplessness, the kind that settles in the bones when doors won't open. What do you do when the only way forward is through a wall? Stone, sun-baked, uneven, stacked without mortar. The village clings to the northern rim of the lake, a scatter of hovels turned marketplace. This is no holy town, no quiet well or shaded grove. Here, the smell of fish guts clings to the wind. Nets hang like ghosts between houses, dripping brine. Roman coins pass hand to hand. Tax collectors lean in doorways, fingers counting, eyes sharp. Capernaum breathes commerce. It grinds. It does not rest. And into this, he returns, Jesus. Not with fanfare, not with escort, but to a house, a roof, a single room where Peter once broke bread. The dust still holds the memory of his sandals, yet the news runs faster than feet. Word slips through cracks in the walls. A whisper becomes a murmur becomes a tide. They come, not in 2s or 3s. The Greek says polloi, a mass, a crush, a body of flesh pressing flesh. The doorway vanishes beneath shoulders. The threshold is lost. Inside, the air is thick with sweat, with breath, with the sour tang of unwashed cloth. No space to kneel, no room to fall forward in surrender. They are not here for spectacle. They press in for the sound of his voice, the way the words land, not like law, but like water on cracked soil. The word. That is what they want, and so they become the barrier. The very hunger for grace builds the wall. The walls are low, mud brick, sun-bleached. Roofs are flat, beams laid across stone, then brush, then a crust of dried earth. You can walk across them. You can stand and see the lake shimmer beyond the huddle of homes. But not today. Today the roof is a ceiling of bodies. Men squat on the edge, legs dangling. Women cling to the outer walls, straining to hear. The heat rises, the breath comes fast. The voice inside cuts through, clear, steady. But the man on the stretcher hears none of it. He is outside. Laid on a mat of woven reeds, his fingers twitch, his eyes track the sky, the circling birds, the edge of the roof where dust trickles down like time. He is not just sick, he is a question, a burden, a life suspended. His body is a cage, his legs do not obey, his spine does not straighten. He cannot rise, cannot crawl, cannot even turn himself in the dirt. And his friends, they do not weep, they do not shout. They look at the house, then at each other. A silent exchange, the kind forged in long walks, in shared bread, in nights keeping watch. The house should be shelter, it should be refuge, but now it is a tomb with a roof, a fortress of faith that locks out the one who needs it most. The walls stand, the crowd presses, the voice speaks inside, and the only way to the healer is through the sky. Dust in the throat, grit between teeth. The sun gone now, only its ghost staining the dunes in rust and ash. That single dune stands like a sentinel, lit at the crest, the rest swallowed by shadow. No wind, no cry of bird, just the slow settling of earth as day folds into night. A man lies still, not from peace, from absence. His body does not answer. His legs are stone, his arms driftwood. He breathes, but it is the breath of one waiting to be buried. Sin. The word hums beneath his skin, not spoken, not needed. It lives in the way mothers pull children close when he passes, in the way the priest turns his face at the well. To be broken is to be guilty. That is the law written in glances, in silence, in the space kept around him on the ground. Job. He remembers the stories, the man stripped of everything, cursed, covered in sores. His friends arriving not with oil, but with accusation. If God has done this, what have you done? The question hangs, unasked but known, every ache a verdict, every limp a confession. He carries more than paralysis, he carries the weight of being marked, a living omen, the kind of man you avoid at weddings, at funerals, at prayer. And his friends, what do they carry? Flesh, yes, a man's full weight on a mat of twisted reeds, but also shame, the kind that sticks to the hands. To touch him is to risk being seen as one who condones, one who shares the stain. They climb, stone steps, worn smooth by centuries of feet. Each step jars the stretcher. Each jar sends a tremor through the man's spine. His teeth clench. No cry. He has learned silence. The house ahead, mud brick, low, crowded. The roof a crust of earth over timber and brush. Flat, walkable, but not meant to be breached. They reach the top. The crowd below is a murmur, a shifting mass. Inside, a voice, clear, unhurried, cuts through the heat. The friends do not look at each other. They do not need to. The decision was made long ago, in the dark, over oil lamps, when they swore not to let him rot in the dirt. Now, the roof. They kneel. Fingers find cracks. Pull. A clod breaks free, then another. Dry mud rains down. Dust puffs in the air, catching the last light. Below, a man in fine linen flinches, dirt in his beard, on his scroll. He looks up. Anger tightens his jaw. This is not how one approaches holiness. Not with violence, not with ruin. But they do not stop. They dig, fingers clawing, breathing hard. The hole widens, beams groan, a branch snaps. The mat shifts. One friend braces it with his knee. Sweat runs into his eyes. He does not wipe it. The crowd stirs. Murmurs rise. Who are these men? What right do they have? The teacher speaks of mercy, but this is sacrilege. To tear open a home like a loaf of bread. To interrupt the sacred with the desperate. Yet they continue. The hole is large now, wide enough. They tie ropes, knots they've used for fishing nets, strong, tested. The man on the mat feels the shift. The air changes, cooler. He looks up, sees sky, then stars, then the edge of the opening, framed by 4 faces peering down. They lower him, slow, unsteady. The ropes creak, the mat sways, dust falls in sheets. It lands on heads, on shoulders, on the teacher's robe. Silence. Not the silence of awe, the silence of offense, of disruption, of something sacred violated. But the teacher does not look at the hole, does not scold, does not call for guards. He looks at the man, at the eyes wide with fear, with hope, with the long, slow ache of being unseen. And he speaks, not to the body, to the soul. Your sins are forgiven. The words land like stones. The scribes stir. Blasphemy. Only God forgives. Who is this man to claim such power? But no one moves. The air is thick, not with heat, with tension, with the weight of what has been done. The friends still crouch above, ropes in hand, shoulders trembling. They have torn a home apart. They have defied custom. They have risked debt. This roof will need rebuilding. Labor, money. They may be sued, shamed, cast out. And if he is not healed, if the teacher turns away, then they have destroyed for nothing. Their friend remains broken, and they, ruined. They do not know. They cannot know. All they know is the man below, suspended in air, in rope, in hope, and the voice that spoke not to the legs, but to the ghost inside. The cost was not just in muscle, not just in mud and beam. It was in daring to believe that love could dig through stone, that friendship could tear open heaven. The dune holds its light a moment longer, then fades. Night comes, heavy, full of stars, full of silence, full of the echo of what was broken and what was made whole. Light, sudden, a blade of gold splitting the dark. The hole in the ceiling becomes a mouth, open to the sky. Sun flares through, white at the center, rimmed in fire, pouring down like liquid. Dust rises in spirals, caught in the beam, each mote a spark, each speck a world. The crowd below stands frozen, heads tilt back, eyes squint. Not from the brightness, from the breach. Plaster still falls, a soft rain of earth. It lands on upturned faces, on the teacher's shoulder, on the edge of the mat, now suspended mid-air, swaying. The man lies there, bare, exposed. His chest rises, falls, his fingers curl into the reeds beneath him. He feels every gaze, 1,000 needles. The weight of being seen after years of being passed over, forgotten. He does not move, cannot. But his breath, shallow, quick, betrays the storm inside. Jesus lifts his face, not to the sky, not to the splintered beams. His eyes lock on the man, but deeper, past skin, past bone. He sees the hands that dug, the nails torn, the shoulders that strained, the ropes knotted twice, tested. He sees the climb, the risk, the refusal to accept the wall. Faith, not spoken, not prayed, lived, in dirt under fingernails, in the ache of lifting, in the courage to tear open a roof for a friend who cannot walk. The effort was the prayer, the hole, the altar, then the words, not the ones expected, not rise, not be made whole. Son. A pause. The air stills, even the dust seems to hang. Your sins are forgiven. No shout, no flourish, quiet, certain. Like a stone dropped into deep water, the ripple spreads. The scribes, men in fine robes, seated near the front, stiffen. One grips his scroll, another presses a hand to his chest. Their eyes narrow, lips move, forming silent accusations. Blasphemy. The word hums in the room, unspoken but felt. Only God forgives. Only the Most High holds that key. Who is this carpenter's son to unlock what belongs to heaven? They do not speak, but their thoughts are loud, cold, calculating. They measure the weight of the claim, the danger of the man who makes it. Jesus turns, not to the paralytic, to them. He sees the gears turning, the legal arguments forming, the judgment already passed in their minds. Why do you question in your hearts? His voice cuts, clear, not angry, knowing. Which is easier, to say, your sins are forgiven, or to say, rise and walk? No answer, only breath, shallow, held. For anyone can claim to forgive, no proof, no witness, but to command the body, to order flesh and bone to obey, that is visible, that is undeniable. A beat, then, but that you may know the Son of Man has authority on earth to forgive sins. He looks back, at the man, at the hollows under his eyes, at the hands that have not gripped anything but helplessness for years. Rise. A single word, not shouted, not whispered, spoken like a command the universe must obey. Take up your mat and go home. Silence. One breath, two. Then a twitch in the foot, a tremor in the calf. The man's eyes widen, his spine arches, just slightly. Muscles, long asleep, begin to hum. Blood surges, nerves fire. The atrophy cracks like dry clay under rain. He pushes, with his arms, then his legs. They answer, they lift. He sits. The crowd gasps. A woman covers her mouth. A man stumbles back. The mat dips beneath him as he swings his legs over. He stands, bare feet on packed earth, solid, strong. He bends, grasps the edge of the reed mat, the same one that carried him here, limp as a sack. Now he lifts it, rolls it, tucks it under his arm. He walks, step, step, step. No limp, no stagger, each footfall firm. He moves through the parted crowd, shoulders brush. No one speaks, no one touches. They make way, not out of reverence, out of shock, out of fear. The man walks to the door, steps into the light. The sun hits his face. He does not look back. He He carries his bed and himself, whole, not just healed, declared clean, not just walking, returning, home. Sunlight, slanting, needles of gold piercing the canopy, slicing through the hush of pine. The forest breathes, resin thick in the air. A beam strikes earth, illuminates a patch of moss, damp, spongy, alive. This light, it does not ask permission. It tears through shadow, like the hole, like the breach. That opening in the roof, more than wood split, more than clay scattered, it echoes, a rending, ancient, holy. The veil in the temple, once thick, once guarded, once the only threshold between man and the presence, torn from top to bottom. Not by priestly hand, not by ritual knife, by heaven itself. So here, the friends did not knock, did not wait. They dug, broke through, not with ceremony, with calloused palms and splintered nails. The roof gave way, and in that violence, mercy. A pathway carved not in stone, but in sacrifice. The barrier falls, so that one broken man might be seen, so that he might be reached. Just as the cross would later tear the sky, split the earth, shatter the silence of death, this moment foreshadows. The friend's hands, like nails in wood, pulled apart what was meant to keep him out. Not decorum, not law, not the weight of tradition. They tore open access. Because love does not obey ceilings, grace does not climb stairs, it descends, or it breaks in. The mat, woven reeds, frayed at the edges, the man's prison, his cradle, the thing he has known longer than strength. It carried his weight for years, not just flesh, no, the burden of a life unlived, the guilt that clung like fever sweat, the shame that settled in the spine, the slow rot of being told you are unworthy of walking. That mat, our old existence, the bed we lie on, paralyzed by patterns, by pasts, by the quiet surrender to brokenness. We call it comfort. It is captivity. And Jesus does not first command it rolled up. He speaks past it, through it, to the soul beneath. Forgiveness, first, before movement, before proof, before any sign. He names the true disease, not the limp, not the wasted limbs, the separation, the chasm between breath and blessing. The kingdom does not begin with healing, it begins with pardon, with the word that unchains. The scribes flinch, not at the miracle but at the claim. To forgive, this is the domain of the divine. To speak it with authority, without sacrifice, without temple smoke, is to stand where only God stands. And he does. The paralysis was never the wound, it was the symptom. The body's echo of a deeper fracture, the rupture between us and the source. The friends carried more than a man, they carried a soul to the edge of grace. Their faith, calloused, urgent, reckless, became the bridge. Not their words, their work, the dirt under their nails, the ache in their shoulders. This is intercession, not whispered prayers in quiet rooms, but action, risk, the willingness to be blamed, to be called mad, to be sued for damages. They prefigure us all, the priesthood of breath, of bone, of belief. Each of us called to lift the fallen, to lower them into the line of sight of the healer. And he calls himself Son of Man, not Messiah, not King, not Rabbi, a title veiled in Daniel's vision, one like a human being, coming on clouds, given dominion, glory, a kingdom without end. He claims it quietly, in a house full of dust and disbelief. He does not shout it, he lives it, and in doing so, stakes a claim not just to heal, but to judge, to reign, to forgive, authority on earth, to speak the unspeakable, to loose what sin has bound. The scribes know the weight, only God forgives, and if this man speaks it and proves it, then he is not merely prophet, he is presence. The healing, the walking, the mat rolled and carried, this is the sign, not the substance, the visible seal on an invisible transaction. The body rises because the soul has already been restored. The legs obey because the heart has been declared clean. The miracle is not that he walks, it is that he is saved, whole, not fixed, found. And the roof, shattered, beams splintered, plaster in the bread bowl, in the oil lamp, in the teacher's hair. This matters. God does not flinch at broken structures when they block broken people. He values the man more than the mortar, the meeting more than the method, the need more than the neatness. The cross will later prove it. God will destroy his own temple to make a way, not preserve order, not protect property, but to open access forever. The forest still, the light steady, a single pine cone drops, thuds into moss. The silence after thunder, the breath after revelation. What was torn was meant to be. What was broken was preparing the way. For feet to walk, for hands to carry, for a man to rise, not just from a mat, but from death itself. The lake, still, a mirror poured across the earth. Pink bleeds into blue at the horizon, soft like breath on glass. No ripple, no shiver, just the sky turned upside down, held in the arms of water. Distant trees line the far shore, smudges of charcoal against the light. You see them, faint, quiet, not calling, just being. The air cool on your face, not cold, not warm, just there, like the weight of a blanket at dawn. You don't have to move, you don't have to speak. The sun climbs, slow, unhurried. It does not rush to burn, it simply arrives, and the world accepts it, without argument, without effort, just light, spreading, filling the hollows, the kind of morning that makes you forget time, that makes you remember how to breathe, deep, from the belly, not the chest, the kind that pushes against your ribs and says, this is enough. Do you have someone who would dig through dust and timber just to lower you into the presence of mercy? Someone whose hands would ache from lifting, whose back would burn from climbing, who would not care what the others thought as they tore open the ceiling? Or are you the one meant to carry, to shoulder the weight of another's stillness, to believe so fiercely that you become a ladder between earth and grace? Faith is not a whisper in the dark. It is a fist against the roof. It is dirt under fingernails. It is the courage to disrupt the order of things, because love cannot wait for permission. Sometimes the crowd stands too close. They block the way. They murmur about propriety, about rules, about what is proper. But the ones who break through, they don't care. They know the man beneath the mat matters more than the floor above it. And Jesus, he doesn't scold them. He sees their labor. He honors it. He speaks to the one they brought. Not because the structure was preserved, but because it was shattered. For you. For now. The church is not always a sanctuary, sometimes it is a ceiling. And grace is the hole in it. He still looks for that kind of faith. Not polished, not quiet, not seated in rows with hands folded, but raw, determined, the kind that drags a friend through dust and doubt and drops them at his feet. The kind that says, heal him, even if it costs me. And he still offers the harder gift, not just strength in the legs, but peace in the soul. The words that cut deeper than any wound. Your wrongs are undone. Your past is no longer a chain. That is the miracle no eye can see, the one that changes everything. The man walked, yes, but first, he was forgiven. And the crowd? They stood silent. Then they sang, not because he moved, but because they saw God move. Your healing, whatever it is, will not only free you, it will become the song of someone else, their worship born from your release. You don't have to climb, you don't have to dig. The way is already open, the barrier torn, not by your hands, not by your worth, but by his. Rest here, in this truth, in this stillness, like the lake, like the dawn, like the mat rolled and carried home. You are not broken, you are held, the air still, the light steady. Your breath matches the rhythm of the world, in, out. No striving, no fear, just the quiet certainty that you are seen, that you are known, that you are spoken to, Not with thunder, but with a voice that says, "You are clean. Go. Be whole." And you do, not because you earned it, but because he said so. The sun rises, the water reflects, the trees stand, and you breathe. Just breathe. The rest is given.